All right, let's try from here. Sound. Are we good? I want to see if my sound is good. Sorry about that. I've been talking and I haven't. Nobody's been able to hear me. Um, so just want to make sure my sound's good. Rich, are we good? Just want to make sure we're good on that. Seen somebody end up sending a message on that. Okay, there we go. So essentially, where we're at is very simple. Gold right now, because the market has shown that 18 or 1620 is 1620 to 1615, that natural support, and right around 1730 is the overall resistance. There's really no consolidation type of, or there's really no move to be able to take on gold at this particular point. I'll wait for the market to be able to break either below 1615 and keep on pushing to the downside, or continue to break above 1742. Now, if it breaks below 1615, then the next area will be 1553, or where the market could potentially go. End up getting that based off of the daily move and being able to see the next support level where the market could fall. If that does happen, then obviously that would be the trade that we'll like to be able to get into. But currently, right now, there's really no trade to be able to take on that move at all from this particular point and actually feel comfortable with it. Let me see. I want to make sure. Okay. Brian, what's going on? Hope everything's going well. I got an echo. Let me turn my volume down a little bit. Sound check, sound check, sound check, sound check. What about now? That better? Brian, are we good on the sound check? Just want to make sure we're good from there. Oh. Okay. But yeah, let's see. I'm having to place messages in like 4 different areas at this particular point. There we go. Like I said, I'm going to be jumping around today, and I get it right. Trust me, I will. But um, I end up creating a Share Vision account a while ago, and uh, they have a couple good things that are actually set up mainly for creators. And if it has to be that way, then I go from there like this. All right, so um, based off of the 2 hour, once again, 2 hour, 1 hour, and everything else is showing that we're clearly in consolidation. So gold not going to do anything with when it comes down to that pair. Let's take a look at the United States dollar index. United States dollar index was in a lot of consolidation, and then after that, I'm seeing the market is trying to make a decision on if it's going to fall. Um, from a weekly perspective, we can clearly see that the market has been pushing up to the upside, but it's in the sell zone, but there has not been a drop yet. I believe that the drop is going to end up happening somewhere around that 13 411 position. We've been talking about that earlier as a position where the market could potentially end up going for it to drop. Once that happens, then after that, 13 295, 13 300 will be the area where the market could potentially fall. But we're taking a look at that from a daily perspective. It's not ready yet. And because it's not ready yet, there's really no move to be able to take. To be honest, I've been looking. It's kind of funny. I've been looking into prop firms and being able to look at, being able to trade, being able to obviously get everybody to a position to where we can be able to trade in a prop firm together when it comes down to everything that we're doing. But um, let's see, great job on the message. Just woke me out of my sleep for the stream. Nice. Uh, but at the same time, if I was trading a prop firm right now, I would be so aggravated because you got limited moves on this one, and quite frankly, the only move that you could be potentially making is a range bound type of trade. So you're trying to buy a support, trying to sell a resistance, but everyone knows that I don't like trading consolidation. I like trading a breakout of the consolidation instead of trading inside of it. So United States dollar index has been in here for the last few, let's see, at least for the last 22 days after being able to fall back down and go back inside of there. There's really no great movement when it comes down to this position as of yet. So I'm going to end up staying away from that as well, unfortunately. We'll kind of go from there. I want to take a look at what's happening with US yen. um, just for the sake of being able to see this, because obviously I've been talking about this one for a while. I get off of, let's see, from a weekly perspective, this market has just been parabolic at this particular point, and because it was parabolic, it kind of made it hard to be able to make any type of trades when it comes down to that movement. Now, overall, the thing that we want to be able to look for is this. That is our weekly the extension that ended up getting that hit at 142, because the market ended up getting hit at 142. There has not been a fractal high that has been placed as of yet. Now, with this large indecision candlestick that ended up happening right here, that means to me that that possibly may end up being the new high point or the new high mark of this position. Quite frankly, it's actually the highest position that this market has ever had when it comes down to that movement. Because of that, I always say that I do not buy future high prices. That's something that I just personally don't do. It doesn't make any sense to be able to do that. That's been a hard rule that I've had for a very long time, going back to my MTI days when it comes down to being able to learn from them. Based off of that, the question is, where's the market going to fall, and when is it going to fall, and how quick can we be able to get into this move and be able to take advantage of that? And if we can, if we can be able to take advantage of it and being able to be early but be safe, but that puts us in a better position overall to be able to ride this out until the end of the year. I think that the Japanese yen is going to end up having some type of movement that we can be able to be okay with. Why is it not updating? Come on, update. Okay, I go to the other chart. There we go. Uh, it's giving us the opportunity to be able to look at being able to potentially trade to the downside. But um, the question is, when can we be able to get in? The high stake can we end up being? Obviously, the high market's 151.90. The stop loss that we end up placing in on this one will probably have to be somewhere around that area, or at least at that last peak. I had at 150.20 at one point. Brian, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's kind of funny. We end up placing in. Remember, we end up placing in that trade on Sunday where I ended up getting in on the sale at 149 something, or like 147 something. And I actually kept that. I actually kept a portion of that trade in. That was at 147.79, and currently right now I'm seeing a little bit of consolidation, which is actually a good thing, but it's leading to something else. This has to be some type of news that I'm not taking account for, because I don't see anything when it comes down to this overall movement that would keep the market being as stale as it is um, at this particular point. Um, but we're seeing a very tight range bound consolidation at this point. We can call it a triangle if you want to be able to call it a triangle. Um, Obviously, if you're going to call it a triangle, to be basically like that. And if that's the case, then it's breaking above. I ended up looking at the pound yen earlier this morning. I seen that the pound actually ended up pushing to the upside on that one as well earlier this morning. Based off of this movement, I'm going to change this color because I got a lot of stuff in purple. So then about the eye bounce back up. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, I still have the feeling that the market could potentially end up falling down. Or, well, I know that the market's going to end up falling down. Let's not get that twisted. The question is, when is it going to fall down? Um, and what is going to end up being a catalyst? We talked about on Thursday that the GDP is going to end up coming out. So that'll probably end up being one of those things that we need to pay attention to. And as long as the market doesn't hit this overall peak at this point, right around 149.45, then you got a solid area where you can be able to get into a trade, place your stop loss, maybe right around that 150 area, and then after that, ride it out to that 140, 147 area that we're looking at. Um, Currently, right now, let me get that off the screen. Don't need that. Market is still respecting this overall long-term trend line, and because that is the case, the market is still considered to be bullish. Sell trades, if you're going to end up placing them in, you got to be able to do it with confirmation. Quite frankly, we really don't have a confirmation as of yet. We had that counter, we had that big move to the downside when the intervention actually ended up happening on Friday and on Sunday. But there's really no move to be able to get into right now and feel very comfortable with at this particular point, especially for selling. Now, if you're trying to buy, the only buy that I'll look at is being via scalping and being able to make that move. We're basically right at the daily. Once again, basically at the daily 127 again. And remember, the 127 is basically based off of that 80-20 rule of the market only retracing down to the 23.6. There's a better chance of the market being able to fall. But currently, right now, I don't see a great opportunity to be able to jump in from there. Sounds like Thursday will be a big day, a big trade day. I believe so. I believe so. Just based off of the way that the market's been setting up. And I think that it's going to end up being a week. I think it's probably going to end up being weak for United States dollar if we're just looking at the way that everything's set up. Now, the crazy part about that is we can say that it's going to end up being weak, and then the market news kind of fails us, and then market makers push the market up, drive out everybody when it comes down to the price, and then after that fall down. Everybody's all up in arms talking about, oh man, I had a position, but I ended up losing it. I can see that happening as well. But I ultimately I do think that the market's going to fall. The question is how high of a price is going to go to before being able to make a move from there. Let's take a look at Euro United States dollar real quick. I'm going to be very brief on this one as well. Still in consolidation. We talked about this one being inside of a triangle as well. Once again, all of these are showing signs of the United States slowing down, and other pairs that might end up getting stronger. So we talked about this one time before, saying that if the market end up breaking above, okay, let me zoom out. That's too little, too bad information. Do that over again. Okay, I'm just going to delete this line. I'm seeing more of a triangle when it comes down to this one as well. There's no trading today on this one that makes sense. So once again, kind of stay away from Euro, United States dollar until the market actually ends up breaking out. But all of these charts, if you look at them, they're showing signs of the market is going to end up U-turning in some type of way, which means to me going into Thursday, let's take a look at the pound. Let's see what's happening with the pound. Pound is giving another triangle as well, giving more of a flat type of triangle, but yeah, I'm seeing that this market may be primed and ready to be able to start popping back up to the upside. I think Thursday might be the catalyst day. Pound, I probably wouldn't jump in, not so much, just based off of the movement. Well, remember the two currencies that got beat up the most this beginning of the year has been the um, eurozone and has been the Japanese yen. So if I'm going to make a move, my moves will end up being based off of those two pairs compared to any other two pairs because I think they're probably going to end up having the best bounce back years going into 2023. And especially going into the latter portion of this year. So I am going to pay attention to those a little bit more before being able to make a move. Currently, right now, there's really no move to be able to take on this one. So this might be one of those. I ain't gonna say chill days because it's really never a chill day when it comes down to the market. But it might be one of those slow days that you can kind of keep your eyes out on and be able to make a move from there. Now, let's talk about the post that I ended up having a little bit earlier today. I'm going to take myself off the screen so y'all can be able to see this. But we end up taking a look at US 30 and US 30 on the daily is in the sell zone. Keep that in mind. The market has been bearish, but also keep in mind that the United States dollar index is going to end up being bearish, and typically that means the opposite for index pairs. That typically means that you'll see the market start to be able to move to the upside. And because this market has found support right around that 28,700 number, we probably might see that this market will continue to start trying to push back up to the upside overall. Now, with that being said, what does that mean from an hourly and from a daily standpoint? Earlier this morning, the market has been in consolidation. We ended up talking about a trade yesterday where we were looking at being able to get in. It was at 31,230, I believe. And we was trying to exit out at 31,700. 31,450 was that vortex area, that pop area where you could be able to take advantage of that movement. Why is this not erasing? Why is this not erasing? Okay, thank you. But market got all the way up to 31,600, and then after that started to U-turn. Now, this is the market behavior that I have been noticing over the course of the last month or so, and I want to see if everybody kind of sees the same thing. Instead of seeing consolidation build up and breakout, I've seen more continuation type of trades. I've seen more mean reversion. Market ends up retracing, has a strong move to the upside for the counter trend line break to be able to take. Market ends up retracing, has a strong move to be able to take. Market ends up retracing. Then after that, you have a strong move from there. Now, typically, when you end up seeing the market really start to move, that has been basically the moves that we've been seeing overall. For us being able to get into a larger move and being able to kind of make the most out of that potential move overall when it comes down to trading to the upside. Now, the only thing that I am kind of worried about, not necessarily worried about, is how's the market going to end up reacting based off of that news that's going to end up potentially coming out on Thursday. I'm seeing consolidation right here, and ultimately what I'm seeing is I think that the market would fall. I ended up sending this out a little bit earlier, and yeah, I ended up sending this out a little bit earlier, and I didn't like the position where I was at, and I'll tell you why in a brief second. But I ended up taking a trade a little bit earlier at 31,440. I ended up getting out at 31,380 because of what's happening with the Ikomoku clouds. But this move to the upside, I will consider that to be a win. Obviously, it was a win. I'm going to remove that off. I'm going to move this over to the left on the screen. We'll just talk about that as a trade position. What I think is probably going to end up happening is this, because we have news that's coming out in 2 days. I think that the market's going to end up having a pretty decent fall. And if the market has a pretty decent fall, it'll probably fall down toward that 30,950 area. If it does fall from there, then what it's going to end up building is that next block of consolidation. It'll probably end up building out something like this. Now, the problem why I did not stay in the trade was because when I initially looked at it and going based off of this movement, the market has shown that it's in an uptrend type of move. It's in an up cloud for its position. The only thing that we should be looking at is potential buying in this position. And because of that, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to stay away because I don't like what I'm seeing for this. We already know that the trend is bullish. So instead of trying to sell this and just trying to guess when obviously we know that the trend is bullish, let's get more confirmation to be able to get in on this trade instead of just guessing. So I ended up pulling that trade from the Discord group primarily because I don't think it's a higher probability trade anymore, if we're being very honest. And if it's not a high probability trade, then there's no reason for us to be in the trade overall to be able to make a move. Just being honest, I don't like this position anymore for us being able to get in. So what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to let the market kind of fall. If it does fall all the way down to 30,950, then that's great. Then my analysis was right, but we don't know what's going to happen from there. And typically when you have consolidation, it builds up a few days before being able to make a true move and being able to go from there. Thoughts? Anybody when it comes down to that? Y'all have any questions when it comes down to that movement? US 30, I'm going to stay away. Let's go Nas 100. I got time for 2 moves on this one. Why am I looking at this Forex? Okay. We can see the same thing that's happening with Nas. Nas is not in a position to be able to do anything. If it's going to fall, it's going to fall down to support. The support on this one is actually a little bit tighter. The body of it is at 12,250 or 11,250. The resistance of this move is 11,464. Now, if it breaks above again, then obviously we go back to those trades that we end up taking a hit, take profit one. So uh, that one is done. If you end up taking that trade on Friday, congratulations to the people who end up doing that one. Actually, that one completed on Friday, right when the market actually ends up jumping up. So that one is over with. The next move that we end up talking about was going all the way up to 11,660. But I don't see anything from there that's ready yet off of that move either. I'm going to stay away from that, at least not yet. So no move on NAS. XPX 500. See if I can rapid fire this real quick. XPX 500. Where's the rest of my... Okay. Weekly perspective, market showing signs of being able to push up. We had an engulfing candlestick. The market is retesting that engulfing candlestick. We're in the buy zone off the stochastic. We should see a little bit of a retracement. Remember, if United States dollar goes down and starts getting weak, indexes and everything else start getting strong. Now, it's a light correlation, but typically it does happen in that manner. Market from a daily position is basically in the sell zone, and we're looking at the top of resistance when it comes down to this. Now, if I block this off, y'all can notice that we're pretty much at a very large consolidation area, kind of like what's happening with US 30 as well. And because we are at the resistance, that means to me that there's a better chance of the market actually falling today than it is popping back up. Now, does that mean that the market will fall over time and stay to the downside over time? No, not necessarily, but it just means that there's a better chance of the market actually falling today than popping back up overall. So when you take a look at this from an hourly perspective, this consolidation block that I just marked up basically encompasses everything that's been happening from September all the way to where we are right now. And the next area where this market could potentially fall down to would be the natural support areas, which will end up being right around there from this perspective. Where is my buyer profile? Oh, and it doesn't have buyer profile. Oh yeah, it does. Okay. Okay, there we go. The fact still remains, I'm probably not going to do anything off of XPX right now, but if it does fall, the next fall area will end up being at 37.70. For the people that like scalping, 37.70 would be the area. So the safer trades on all of these will be waiting for the market to be able to break out. The breakout position will be 38.05 all the way up to 38.50 when it comes down to that movement to the upside on XPX 500. Obviously, we can start looking at the other trades, but going into today, going into tomorrow, before the market actually ends up having that news that's going to come out for the GDP, I will start being able to place in my pending orders to the downside and to the upside on this position. Now, downside positions are already set up based off of those long-term movements to the downside, but we need to go ahead and start placing in our orders, in which I think we had up here already. But 38.50 will probably end up being that area where the market could potentially pop up to the upside on XPX 500. Do you look at divergence? Sometimes. Not necessarily. I don't pay. Sometimes. I think more, to be honest, what has been my bread and butter more than anything else, Brian, over the course of the last, I want to say over the course of the last 6 months, has been buying profile trades and buying profile breakouts. And obviously, y'all seen that from the beginning. But I mean, I've been more ABCD type of movements. Obviously, trying to trade ABCDs in this market has not been great for anybody. People that have traded consolidation have done okay. or traded just in the range has done okay, especially if they had high volatility type of pairs like the indexes and everything else. But primarily, it's been volume breakouts. It's been look at the high volume nodes, trade to or exploit the low volume nodes, and then after that, get in, get out, do what you can when it comes down to those movements. Uh, so divergence hasn't been one of those things that I really kind of pay attention to because I can see it. I can see it clearly based off of price action, and the price action has basically been telling me what's happening. If that makes sense. Let's see. Let's see. Um, I've seen like a bunch of folks just started using it in the last 6 months. How long have you been? How long has Found Profile been released on? To be honest, uh, I've been using Found Profile for about a year and a half now. It didn't click until about 6 months ago, but I've been using it for about a year and a half. Um, but yeah, naturally, it did not click about how to be able to exploit it until about 6 months ago. And I think it was one trade that ended up being about 10 grand, 10 grand about a day and a half for its movement, and I was like, oh, okay, we have something here. uh, and kind of went from there. Last one, German 40, and we'll get out of here on this one. So I'm seeing the same thing with DAX. All of these are making the same type of movement. I don't know if y'all can be able to notice this. This one is it's a little bit different compared to what's happening with the rest of them, but the main break of that was right there. The main resistance is right here when it comes down to this movement. We move this over. The main support has been, or I ain't gonna call it main support. The breakout support is right there. Can I box this one up as well? Not really. Um, I'll box that one up a little bit later on. DAX is showing that there's really no trade to be able to take as well. You end up taking a strategy for a trade, which was a range bound trade, being able to sell it at 12,990. Then the position will be down to 12,601 for us being able to sell it from there. Currently, right now, it's no move because we're in the middle of that consolidation. If the market ends up breaking to the upside, then we have a large pocket that we can be able to go after right here, which will end up being from 12,000. I'm going to say 12,990 or 13,000 all the way up to 13,150. So I am going to place a pending order on that one. I give out more information inside of the Discord so everybody can be able to take a look at that one. I want the market to be able to pop back up first before. Well, I'm going to wait for the market to be able to see if it's going to hold this support first. And if it does hold this support, then I place it into order because I have way more confidence in it. 12,990 all the way up to 13,150 would be that area for us being able to make that trade to the upside. I think that'll be a safe trade. I think that'll be a high probability trade once it ends up getting to that point. Right now, it's really no position to be able to take. So this morning's a dud, but it's kind of expected before 2 days before being able to see what's happening with the GDP. You like what I end up doing, please make sure that you end up, there's no boost button, but if you like what I end up doing, please make sure that you end up clicking on that like button on YouTube. Let's go ahead and start running up some of the, hopefully running up some of the subscribers on YouTube and kind of being able to push that up. Obviously, I end up doing this based off of Share Vision. Share Vision is, I ended up contacting Share Vision one time before. They actually ended up contacting me about it as well. They have a very large platform and it's kind of new when it comes down to what they've been doing. But Bloomberg's on it, a few other people is on it, trying to be able to get more of their opinion and stuff out there. And quite frankly, it's another great place to being able to take advantage of it. So um, we'll see if we can be able to do all of them at the same time and kind of go from there. But like always, plan your trade, trade your plan. I see each and every one of y'all a little bit later on tonight. If we have to be able to go through Share Vision again tonight, then we'll do it. If not, then I see you on Trading View. If everything else is good to go with that, like always, I'll see each and every one of y'all a little bit later on. Take it easy.